Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Beyond the Bell. It is Monday, February 12th, 2024. It is 60 seconds after the bell, which means it's time to go beyond the news, beyond the charts, beyond the bell. We have had a day today, guys, and we're going to talk about it momentarily. First of all, our show is brought to you by our good friends at the Blue Sky Trading Company for the clearest path to a live brokerage account, live trading with Mike every day in the Discord channel in this wonderful show. What else do you need? You don't need anything. You got everything you need right with Blue Sky. Check us out at bluesky.pro. And as always, guys, this is an interactive show, which means those of you in the YouTube chat, first of all, if you're watching this later on in the night, we always appreciate you, and we do appreciate a good number of our views come from on demand. And if you make us part of your daily routine at any time, whether it's live or later, we really appreciate that. But for those that are in the chat now, this is an interactive show. Make sure you jump in with any comments or questions that you have. Hello to everyone that is saying hi in the chat right now. First of all, let me know, are you red or green today? This was an exciting day that didn't start very exciting, and I think that's where we're going to get into with the big picture. Now, really interesting day here, guys. All right, so let's take a look at everything in general. So this is the NQ. This was the big mover of the day. Okay, I see Ryan is green. Frederick is red. Okay, Frederick, that's all right, man. You know, live to fight another day. Green on live accounts, red on eval. Well, hey, you know, if you're going to be green in one set of your accounts, your live accounts or your funded accounts are definitely the ones you want to be. And, you know, a lot of people, even myself included, use an occasional eval account to test out new strategies. It's a great way to do that with, as I like to call it, trading with consequences. Even if it's not real live money, an eval still matters, right? You paid for that eval, and it's a chance to be able to prove your strategy or your strategies work in that type of environment. So, but yes, obviously, Bethany is green. Congratulations, Bethany. Green on all accounts today, light and tight. Hey, that's how it is sometimes, 2-3. Really appreciate that. So today, guys, this was a day of 2 days. It really was, right? So Thursday, you know, I opened this show by faking being asleep because it just wasn't that exciting day on Thursday. Friday had some moments, but in general, as we pushed into this week, and honestly, guys, I watched the first 10 minutes today, and I thought, this is more of the same, right? And we have inflation-related numbers tomorrow. We have the VIX options expiration on Wednesday. We have regular options expiration. It's the third Friday of the month coming up this Friday. So a lot of action going on. So it actually would not have shocked me if today ended up as a very, I don't like to use the B word, boring day. Fortunately, it was not. So it's a true story. I was in my community this morning. We're looking at everything, and after about 10-15 minutes, the average true range, 5-minute ATR in the NQ, is under 10, right? I don't like to trade it if it's under 18 or even under 20. It's under 10. The dev bandwidth off of VWAP is under 10, which is an extremely low reading, right? We like to see that closer to 30. You can see here it ended at 46 on the day. So, and this yellow line, that's 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern, it's when the market's open. I waited for about 20 minutes, and I had an errand I was going to run after lunch. I just had to take something back. You know, quick Amazon return, run into Kohl's, drop it on the desk, get your receipt, and walk and run us. 7-minute round, or about a 14-minute round trip, 5 minutes in the store. And I was like, well, I want to do this after lunch because, you know, it's usually when the market. 30 minutes in, I said, I'm going to go run. Screw it. I'm running my errand. I did. I came back, settled in, hadn't missed a darn thing. But then something happened, right? Whether it's a combination of the Fed speakers or other things or just a low volume movement, we kind of started to really do a thing here, guys. Now, those that are experienced traders are going to look at something like this, and they're going to say, I don't need to trade the first move out of this, whether it's up, down. I just want to know that there's movement. Then I can zero in on my setups and go from there. So, guys, I didn't trade this at all. Okay? Actually, I didn't trade this at all, but I caught an extra move down here. Okay, a couple of other trades. I was 2 for 3 on the day. Had a top 3 trading day for the calendar 2024 for me because I'm getting a little bigger in my position sizes, right? But we look at this and you say, well, if you didn't trade this and you didn't trade this, you don't. There was nothing to be had, right? And that's just simply not true. More experienced traders, yeah, don't get me wrong. playing a candlestick pattern, playing a move under the positive 1 standard deviation band on VWAP. If you had that and you called all this, man, good for you. You had a great day, and I'm very happy for you. But again, when these type of moves sometimes happen without any sort of especially when they kind of happen out in space and they don't necessarily give us a bit of a warning, sometimes we can miss these moves. But that's okay, because once the market broke out here, all we knew is that volatility had picked up and there would be opportunities the rest of the day. Guys, I think I've told you on the show today, about almost 80% of my trades happen between 9:30 and noon Eastern, so 8:30 and 11 my time. However, guys, I made 3 trades today and they were all after 1 o'clock today. All right, so it's sometimes it's just a matter of waiting for your. It's always a matter of waiting for your setups, but sometimes it's just a matter of patience, guys. Right? This is, I talked last week about that Jesse Livermore quote where he talks about it's not getting in early or getting out right at the top that is what made me money. It's sitting tight when there's nothing to do. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, okay? But that's what he said, right? Because when you just have to constantly be trading, sure, you're going to catch some big winners, but then you're going to have some losers that just sort of each up, right? And especially as inexperienced traders, as I was several years ago, your losers can eat up 2 to 3 to 4 of your winners, right? So in this situation, guys, what made me money today was, of course, buying and selling at opportune times. But it was the fact that I just sat and basically stared at my monitor for 3 to 3.5 hours before I saw a setup that matched what I like to do, matched one of my setups, one of my plays, right? And that can be frustrating, especially because, like I said, on these particular moves here, 2 big moves in the markets, there were no setups for me. And that doesn't mean there weren't setups for you, and I hope you caught them and all that, right? But of the setups that I like to trade, nothing triggered there. Okay, and yes, it is frustrating watching something basically go from just under the +2 dev band all the way, crashing below the -2 SD band, right? This is a 150, 160 plus point move, right? To miss it sucks. But then you're just sitting back and you're waiting for other opportunities. Sometimes they come, sometimes they don't, right? The old adage, I don't know how many trading setups the market's going to give me tomorrow, right? As I sit here, I'm done for the day. The markets are, the futures markets are kind of wrapping up for the day. We open our new session in an hour or so, and I don't know when I sit down on my computer how many opportunities I'm going to get tomorrow. What I do know is what I'm going to do with those opportunities. I know if the market gives me 5 A+ opportunities tomorrow, I'm going to take all 5. Does that mean they're all winners? No. An A+ setup or an A+ opportunity just means it has a lot going for it. There's nothing that's 100% in this business. If there was, you wouldn't be watching this show. I wouldn't be doing this show. We'd be out trading that 100%, right? So again, very, very important to just, again, wait for your setups, guys. And if you're somebody who doesn't have any setups, you're just buying because you think it's going to go higher and or selling because you think it's going to be lower, or going lower. It's not how you make money. You have to have a setup that tells you that something's going higher or lower based on your setup, all right? And it goes to the point, guys, I want to make a quick point. When I was doing the meeting I do a daily meeting with my community every day at noon, and we had a setup that was beginning to form, okay? So I sat there and did the work on the trade before I even got into the trade, right? So I set my entry trigger, right? It was a stop order to get in. I set my limit for my first profit target. Didn't set my stop because I didn't want it to run up and trigger the stop as an open trade rather than a closed trade. But I knew exactly where I was going to set it if the trade triggered. Trade never triggered. Okay, it ran off in the other direction. And that's okay. But I had a setup that was starting to develop. I did the work for the trade. And had I got into the trade, I would have set my stop, and then the work is done. It's just a matter of what's the price action going to do. Is it going to prove my idea right or not? But at that point, guys, when I am in a trade, once I hit the button to, open a trade, long or short, 90% of the work is done at that point for me, because I know before I even put that in, I know exactly where my stop's going. I know where my first profit target's going. The only slight work to do is if my first profit target is hit. For example, my position size is usually about 3 minis. I will sell about 2 for my initial profit target. How I play that last contract is the only work left to be done. If it runs back and hits my stop, I'm out. Trade's done. Cancel my orders, on to the next one. If it hits my profit target, I bring my stop to break even, and then I decide where I'm going to take that last contract. I might trail the stop manually. I don't set automatic trailing stops for profit, but I may, if it's an NQ trade and I'm long, and I take my profit target off, it runs 10 handles, maybe I move my handle, keep moving my stop up, but eventually it's going to trigger, and then the work is done, right? So I really, really encourage you guys to if you're not somebody who plans out your trades because you have setups, you have playbooks, whatever the case may be, definitely need to do that. Let me catch up on the chat here, guys. Okay, everyone doing pretty well. Worked on some new things today on test. Worked out really well using the QQQ as entry. All right, Drawdown King. I'm not sure that's the nickname I'd choose for a trader, but I don't think you want to be the king of drawdowns. But you know what? That is a little ironic, a little funny, so I'm definitely going to give you credit there. But as always, guys, for those that just have trickled in, this is an interactive show. Make sure you go ahead and join the chat and let us know how you did today and any questions that you may have. Now, before we move on to the next thing, guys, I'm using the graphic from last week, but I do want to the sale. The flash sale that Blue Sky had last week has been extended for 2 more days. 50% off. Use code REFUND50, all caps. And not only do you get 50% off of any Blue Sky plan, but when you get to the brokerage stage, so you pass the eval, you pass the Blue Live, the interim stage, which you can withdraw and moving from stage 2 to stage 3. And then you get to stage 3, which is brokerage. So you're in a live account at that point. And Blue Sky explains on their website exactly how that's done. It's not we might invite you to a live account like some of these other just garbage companies do. No, they spell out exactly how to get yourself from opening your eval to a live brokerage account. There's no mystery. There's no mystery. There's no maybes. There's no this or that. Here's how you do it. Here's the numbers you need to hit. It's remarkably refreshing, right? It doesn't take, and their withdrawal rules, guys. Some of the any company, I'm not calling out any names, but any company that has like a 4-paragraph FAQ for when you can withdraw money, run. Seriously, just effing run. That's not because that means you're not in a live brokerage account. That money comes out of their pocket, and any little tricks that they can do to screw you out of some of that, they will do, right? And we've already seen, complaints and headlines of a lot of that kind of stuff. Not naming any names, but get yourself to a live brokerage account. Blue Sky's the way to do that. Okay, guys, it is time to get to our lesson of the day, and I'm going to come back again. And I've got, I sort of spoiled this myself, but the lesson of the day, guys, is to stay patient. And again, I want to bring this chart up, okay? The opening hour of the markets is usually what, it's the opening hour, right? It's typically, again, I don't like to use the term boring or exciting because that implies entertainment, and we're not here for entertainment. Trading can be a lonely, boring endeavor sometimes, right? I was bored almost the entire day today. But you know what I did? I had one of my best trading days of the year. I think it was my third or fourth best. And so that's, okay, bore me to death for a few $1,000, right? Like that I'm okay with that. Hey, Khaled, how you doing? Mr. Technology, it's good to see you as always. So yeah, just honestly, guys, there is no need to rush. It is all about patience, finding your setups, hitting your setups, and collecting your profit at that point, right? I jokingly put together a little flow chart, which I shared in my Discord. I wouldn't, and amongst some friends, and it has a little maybe not suitable for work language, nothing horrible, probably a hard PG-13 rather than an R, but it was basically a flow chart. Do you trade your a playbook, right? And when I say playbook, guys, what do I mean? I mean a specific checklist, whether written down in your head, I'd prefer you write it down, that precedes an entry to a trade, right? Like this happens, this happens, this happens. And then you get in. Here's where you set your stop. Here's where you set your first profit target, right? It's all laid out in your rules, okay? So the first question was, do you follow your playbook, right? Yes or no. If you said no, it's get a play, or do you have a playbook? No was get a playbook. Yes. Do you follow your rules? And if the answer was no, it was follow your rules with an exclamation sign. And if it's yes, are you consistently, goes to the next question. Are you consistently profitable? Okay. And if it says no, it was, your playbook is crap. I didn't use the word crap, but you get it. And yes was, well, what are you doing reading this? Get over and get out and trade your playbook, right? And this was something that was very hard for me when I first started, right? And I didn't start as a day trader. For the first about 3.5 years of my trading career, I was exclusively a swing trader. I rarely did day trading. I swung trade small cap stocks, and then I was a swing trader of large cap options. Okay, and even in swing trading, it's very hard to not do anything, right? Especially with small cap stocks. And I had a decent size account when I first started, so I could be in 10, 15 positions at once if I wanted to, right? And so it was very easy to, buy something and you got, maybe just $100 or $200 profit, and you want to lock that up, right? Or you want to lock up some of it, or, and then you get into a situation where, again, then you take a $500 loss, it eats up you get it, okay? But you've heard me say on this show before, if you've ever watched this show, and if you continue to, you're going to hear it again. We are traders. That does not mean we trade just because the market is open. We only trade when we have an opportunity that fits our risk-reward profile and our playbooks. End of discussion, end of story. That's it. Okay? So there's no flow chart needed for that. Okay? Do I take this trade? It's as simple, does it fit your rules? Does it fit your risk reward? And is it one of your defined setups? If the answer is yes, take the trade. If the answer is no, don't take the trade. End of discussion, end of story. No multiple steps needed, no video review, no instant replay. That's it. Okay? So I feel the need to hammer this home again and again and again, because so many people come to me with their struggles, and I do some one-on-one coaching when I have a little extra time. And one of the things I always how do you trade? Like, tell me one of your trading setups. And there are times I get people are spending time with me and they honestly want to learn. So I'm not yelling at anybody, but the old saying, you need to work with me or I'm going to work on you, right? And that's the saying, right? Because some people come to me like, well, how many trades did you take today? Well, I took 10. Okay, well, what are your setups? Well, I thought this was going high. That's not a setup, okay? You can have a thesis or a bias. I sometimes use those words interchangeably, all right? You can have a thesis to the markets, but a trade is where a thesis meets a setup. You have a thesis. Hey, I think this is, and then you plan for your setup. That trade I told you I was putting together with some clients today, I had a thesis. The setup never came, so there was no trade. Okay? You have to have a thesis. You have to have a setup. Those two equal trade. All right? Before we go on with this, guys, we didn't take a look at the 4-hour chart in the NQ, and as we continue to run lower, I actually really like to see this, guys, because we've gone not straight up, but from all the way down here at about 17,250 all the way up. So we're talking a several 100-point move in the NQ, okay, without a lot of, again, really none of these candles are really bearish. I think the most bearish candle in here is maybe this one here, right? And at some point, like, you look at this and say, we're clearly breaking down here, right? This could just be a lot of profit taking, guys. Now, these two candles, today's price action, okay, a run up, a rejection, a selling tail, and now a very strong candle down, which basically puts us back into this little zone here. I think we're going to go test down here. Okay, that's my thesis, so I don't trade it unless there's a setup. Okay, because usually, again, one of the rules of technical analysis, it's better confirmation to go test areas, previous support and resistance, right? So this was previous resistance. We broke out through it. I would like to go test this and then confirm, right? And then it's clear skies for a little while, I think. But again, today, we still, for the 4th or 5th session in a row, still made new all-time highs, still got into some other areas, but we now do have our area of resistance, right? So actually, just so we can keep an eye on this, I'm going to expand this box and pull this over. So as the week progresses, we have a little more frame of reference, right? So let's see what do we and I'm going to do it on this one too. So this is what we watch for the rest of the week, guys, right? We've got our areas. Now, how would we potentially trade this? Again, this is a 4-hour. I use this for the 10,000-foot view, right? And so the top-down view. So sometimes this stuff can be actionable. It can set us up for potential trades that we then take on the 5-minute or the shorter time period, right? In this situation, if we move down into this zone, let's say this happens tomorrow in the morning. But then we start to come back out of this zone. Now I've got a long bias. Not only do I have a long bias, I have a target. Okay? Now, again, I need to see how this plays out on the 5-minute. You know, if this looks nice and clean on the 4-hour, but on the 5-minute we're kind of just jerking around down here. There's again, I need an entry. I need a setup. Conversely, if we head back up to this zone, right, I would be looking for a break back down through that zone, and maybe again big target down here. All right, so again, I'm just giving examples based on what I'm seeing, but this is the type of work that you need to do. All right, I spend sometimes, it's not a big process for me anymore because I know exactly what I'm looking for, but for newer traders, you should spend about an hour on Sunday nights, okay, looking at your 4-hour charts. I wouldn't go any higher than that. I also wouldn't go any lower than that for your big picture view, right? So, outline these zones, give yourself a thesis, give yourself a little bit of a bias. That's okay as long as you don't take trades without setups. Then you can go to your 5-minute. And, again, here, the lower level of this range is 18,020, right? So if we go to our 5-minute, so let's say you were saying if we break out below 18, let's say 18,000, I'm getting short there if I see a setup. Well, sure enough, once we broke below 18,000, we went even lower. Right? So you didn't even need to catch this move up, as I didn't, or this move down, as I didn't. You just needed to have a little bit of a handle on the macro. We tested, and again, my pattern, break, retest, and go. I talk about it all the time. We broke down below 1,800, then we retested. Doesn't have to be exact. Doesn't have to be to the tick. Break, retest, and go. And broke down even further from there. So again, guys, on and I know this because I was in your shoes, but every inexperienced trader sees market action like this, okay? And the first chance they get, break out, break down, they're in. Now, sure, if you had just traded out of this range, again, sloppy habits work just enough to keep you doing them. If they never work, they wouldn't become habits, okay? I can almost guarantee, Murphy's Law of Trading, the first time you do something really stupid in the markets, it's going to make you money. And it's going to make you just enough money to keep you doing it when it smacks you in the face the next 10 times, right? Okay, so let me catch up here. Any questions? No, it's looks like everything's going. Any questions, guys? Drop them in the chat because it is time for our trader mail bag. So let me pull our chart back up here, and I want to get a good look at the ES on the 5-minute. As long as I'm waiting for you guys to type some stuff in. Yeah, again, the ES, it's a little frustrating, guys, that the ES and the NQ are kind of trading very similar right now. And they're indexes, right? And they're major indexes, which means they're always going to trade, the further away you look on time frames, the more they're going to look alike. It can be a little frustrating, though, because we want, when the ES and the NQ are trading exactly the same, again, as I've said, that they're basically not two separate instruments. They're only one instrument. And that really kind of hamstrings some of the stuff that we want to do. Okay, how do you differentiate a bias and a setup? That is an outstanding question. So let me try to break that down a little bit. So again, let me just use this 4-hour chart as an example. So my bias right now is we're still in a very bullish phase, right? This could easily just be profit taking, right? For all the big money that got long in here, this is a really nice place to start taking some profit is buying momentum stalled a little bit, right? The longer we spend in an area and we can't break out one direction, right, or continue the trend, the more apt we are to see a little bit of a correction. That's all this is, just most likely just a little profit taking on a low volume day, okay? But right now, as we sit here right now, I am short biased until we reach this area, okay? And then I can't say I'm long or short until I see how we do. If we break out of this, I'd be long. If we break down below this, I would be short bias until we get back into this zone. Okay, and maybe we need to go retest here. I would love if we went and retested this 17,700 level. That was a double top. Actually, I think it was a triple top if we go further back, right? Because then if we come down here and confirm, then this area is a very strong support because it was prior resistance, right? So again, but I can be short bias all day. In fact, again, I can, I was sitting in the community today talking about how I was short bias if we broke below VWAP. And this turned out to be exactly correct. But you know what? I didn't see a setup till I was in here when I was on my Renko charts. Okay? So I can have a bias, but I didn't have a setup. So there was no trade there. And again, part of being a patient trader is understanding there's going to be big moves that you don't catch. And the worst thing you can do is go chase them, right? How many charts do you look at? If you don't see a setup, do you look at different products? So yeah, I don't show it a lot on here just because it can be a little confusing. Do I even have it? I don't think so. I have one chart, guys, that it's broken down. It's a quad chart, so it basically looks like this. Yeah, you can kind of see it here. This is all the NQ, obviously, but I have NQ, ES, CL, and GC. And so I can look at several things at once, and then I have a Renko on one of my other monitors. So because I have one setup that is only on a Renko chart, and then I have several setups that are candlestick and VWAP based. So yeah, so I'm constantly looking at various things. I used to trade. Calendar 2023, almost 75% of my trades were in the NQ, and that was high for me. Prior to that, most of my futures index trades were in the ES. It's just, when I see a setup, I take it. And through 2023, tech was moving a lot better and a lot differently than the SPY. So it was just a little better to see setups there. I'm trying to get back into CL and GC, and I want to get to at least one of the bonds this year that I've never traded the bonds before. I want to start working on those. So again, that's I hope that answers your question there. How do you bias comes from? Okay, I think I caught up on that. So do you have a bias from level to level? Yeah, I do. I mean, So I think what you're really asking is, will I take trades that move against my bias? And the answer to that is, yeah, but it better be a really good setup. So again, my bias is going to be short down to this particular level here. All right. And so I wouldn't, does that mean I'm not going to take a long trade? No, but I'm probably going to keep it a little tighter leash on it. And I'm going to be, it's not going to be an A+ setup. Whereas again, if I get a setup, like a short setup on my Renko chart that's just below VWAP, that's a great setup for me because we've broken through VWAP. Hopefully we move down to the -2 standard dev band. Now, I will say, and again, this is something I've made a suggestion to, just to try this. Try this on paper or in an eval account. Don't do this with live money yet. But if you're somebody who struggles with consistency, and especially if you're somebody who makes like 25, 30 or more trades per day, and you're just not seeing much profit, if you have, first of all, you need setups, but let's say you have them. Try just trading. Just try this for a week or two, and you can email me and let me know if it helps you at all. It may not. And again, try this without live money before you try it with anything else. Try only taking long trades above VWAP and only short trades below VWAP. VWAP, some form of it is built into almost any trading platform out there. So give that a try and see if that helps. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But if you can, or even if you don't, just tag your trades above or below VWAP in your journal. And then you can, hey, how did I do on long trades above VWAP, right? And if you don't have a journal and you can't segregate your data like that, then you're wasting your time. Seriously. Like I don't mince words when it comes to that. If you're not I don't care if this is your first day of trading. I don't care if you've been doing this for 10 years. If you're not journaling consistently, you're wasting your time. You might as well, the hotel room prices in Vegas are going to be a lot better now that the Super Bowl's over. You might as well go there because you might as well get some entertainment out of losing your money, right? All right. So I think that's a good place to kind of wrap up this show. Let me just put this on the screen. If you have any questions, guys, you are more than welcome to reach out to me via Discord. You can just message me, whatever servers you're in, but especially if you're in the Blue Sky server. Again, I will never cold message you. There's thankfully nobody's impersonated me yet, but every financial Discord has trouble with scammers coming in. And if you ever see somebody from Blue Sky and says, hey, I can help you with this algo or something like that, we don't cold direct message anybody, but you're welcome to direct message me, and I usually get back within a couple of hours, unless I'm really deep in trading on that day. You can also reach out to me at matt@tiresiastrading.com. That's TIRESIAS trading.com. So I think it's a great place to wrap up the show for the day, guys. I want to thank you for tuning in. Again, it's just Monday, so we will have we'll have a great week of shows lined up for you. And then, of course, we have Giveaway Thursday to wrap up the week on Thursday. So have a great rest of your day. I will see you tomorrow for another edition of Beyond the Bell. Good night.